Poet MC represents the cyclical relationship between performance poetry influencing the early days of hip-hop culture and hip-hop culture influencing the current spoken word movement. It's like it kind of goes in a circle, kind of goes in a cycle. When you take the original artists of the Black Arts Movement, for instance, who created a oral poetry style that sounded like the popular music that they grew up with, the culture they came from, the bebop, jazz culture. They created a writing style that went along with that. I mean, you had the Last Poets riding on the subway. You know, that type of approach sounds like Coltrane, Charlie Byrd playing horn. So they wanted to write in that manner. And I think that meshing of oral tradition, rhythm, and music, you know, it's a no-brainer that from that influence you would have like a hip-hop movement in the New York City area at the same time. Likewise, those of us who grew up with hip-hop culture, our writing style, whether we're actually rapping syncopated within the beat as the MC or we're just writing poetry, a lot of us are more influenced by a Rakim than a Langston Hughes, a MC Lyte more so than a Sonia Sanchez. When you listen to me do my thing, and I call myself E the Poet MC because I'm an MC. You know, the way that I write poetry, you know, what I do represents hip hop culture. It's not always, may not be like rap like you think it sounds like, but it's always, I may not always sound like a rapper, but I'm always MC. I'm always an MC. You can't separate hip hop from what it is that I do. You have that relationship. You know, I write within the rhythm. It's not always rapping, but I'm always MCing. And you can't separate hip hop outside of, you can't separate the hip hop from what it is that I do. E the Poet MC, I'm not a poet trying to rap or a rapper trying to be a poet. It's an organic growth of me writing the way that I write. So it just comes out the way that it comes out. It doesn't separate itself from the rhythm. So there's boom bap in my syntax. The plan for Griot Soul Recordings is to be to spoken word culture what Def Jam Recordings was to hip hop culture. It was the production style, the blueprint production style of Rick Rubin that kind of laid the foundation for how to approach hip hop production, and it was the business tenacity of Russell Simmons that kind of ushered in a new way of doing business for hip hop culture with the Fresh Fest tours, the marketing and the management of rap artists. It was never done that way before. So what we offer at Griot Soul Recordings is an innovative way of promoting and marketing spoken word recordings. Create a new platform for spoken word artists with the multimedia approach. We have the music videos, we have different show ideas, we have the art of conversation, we have E's house party, we have all these different things that we're working on to create a new platform for spoken word for the next generation. You know, as new ideas come to me, I don't like to wait to put them out. I like to, you know, find a creative space, create the content, and get that content to the people. You know, it's like real time. That's the whole idea of boom bap syntax, like real time and rhythm with the people. I'm right there. So as things happen in the world around us, I'm recording that, observing that, and deconstructing that and giving that back to the people. So with the Boom Bap Syntax Tour, it's me reintroducing and introducing for the first time a lot of people to the E the Poet MC brand. So the latest project that we have out is the Free Verses. So it's a play on words. You know, you have like, you know, free verses is, you know, a free verse is what's known in poetry is like, you know, it's a form of poetry that's kind of like a free form approach to writing a poem, but it's a play on words because I'm calling it Free Verses and ... So it's like freedom versus whatever keeps us from being free. And it's an analysis based on the work of Dr. Neely Fuller Jr. and Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. Many of you are familiar with her work in terms with the ISIS papers. And the first video that we release, and it's become very popular, is Black Men, which deals with an analysis of the deconstruction of the black male image as given to us through pop media, as well as things of like the current state of black men. And I based a lot of the work on this particular CD from the ISIS papers, because a lot of things that she wrote about in the 70s, you know, are warning us of what would happen if, you know, in this battle within the construct of white supremacy, you know, the black man, the black woman, the black family in general is constantly under attack. And things that we were warned about years ago, you know, people are like, oh, we will never see that, we'll never see this sort of thing or that sort of thing. It's happening right before our eyes. So I wanted to bring that back to our attention. So you know, this particular work is very intellectual work, you know, so hopefully everyone connects with it. And yeah, we're going to do a lot of things like this in the future.